Buying guitars, we all have that problem. Some of us have gone a little too far with that. Maybe in the pandemic, we made a couple of purchases we should have done. But hey, we're here now. So, as somebody who loves guitars and loves to buy guitars, I put a couple of points here to put on this video and why that is not such a good idea. And I wanted to do something unscripted because it's just kind of like a conversation. And of course, I have a couple of notes that I'm gonna go through. And also, I got my cup of coffee over here. Great. Yeah. So yeah, one of the big things, because all of us think owning guitars is the coolest thing ever, having a bunch of guitars in the wall, displaying them. But what if our collection becomes more of clutter than an actual collection, than an actual trophy for us to not brag about, but just not even show off either, because I don't like showing off, but something that we're proud of. It becomes clutter. It becomes something that's in the way, that's taking up too much space. That's what we're going to talk about here. One of the bigger things is the maintenance tax. So, yeah, even if you don't use your guitars need to be maintained. So, like, let's say this guitar, for example, it already needs like maybe a good set of strings. I haven't changed them in a while, but I got other two acoustics and I need to change those too, even though I'm not using, between all of them, I'm not using them enough. But they all get oxidized, and they lose tone, and it's just, nasty when they get old, dark, and, can't even use them. And if you have a dozen instruments or two, it becomes very expensive. Another problem is the setup consistency. Let's say I put this guitar, I set it up really nice. I like it. Right now, I have set it up and the action is a little bit higher than what I set it up. Because, the neck tends to move because of humidity, changes in the weather. So yeah, how about if you have 10 to 20 guitars, doing that to all of them? It becomes a part-time job to keep up with all the maintenance and setups that you have to do on them. Plus, if you pay for that, again, it becomes expensive. Another problem, if you use active pickups, like EMGs or anything that uses a battery, like a Golden guitar. This one doesn't have it, but I have another guitar. I have a Golden, and I have another one that has the equalizer here and the preamp, and it uses a battery. So it's battery corrosion. So you gotta keep checking on the guitars that the battery is not leaking any acids that might damage the electronics or the wood on the guitar. That's another problem, but the battery rot. Another one is the environmental control. So you gotta be checking there's no wood cracks, the finish. Like yesterday on the live, I showed a guitar that was already like that fading on the finish, and you gotta have the room in a certain humidity levels, and it's easier to do that in one case than in an entire room, right? Another big problem, and I think it's one of the worst, especially I'm experimenting right now, space requirements. Guitars are not the biggest things in the world, but they're not the smallest either. They're kind of clunky, This takes a heck of a lot of more space than some action figures, some other collectibles. And by the way, most of the things that I'm mentioning here apply to other collectibles as well. But it takes space. It's not a drum set or a big piano, but it takes a lot of space. And once you put a couple of them together, and they can take up a whole room all of a sudden, and you don't know what to do with them if you're not careful. Another problem is, especially for the people who love buying gear and all that, you might want to do something like record a piece or play, just play something. Or which amp do I use? Oh, that amp is not here. It's somewhere in storage. Or which pedal should I use? Which guitar? Which pickup combination? The more gear you have, the less you play sometimes. Because there's so many options that you're gonna take so much time deciding that's gonna take away from some of your playing. Another thing is something that I've been thinking about a lot is the lack of familiarity. There's players that are almost synonymous with their guitar. Like you think of them and you think of the guitar they use. Kind of like B.B. King, you're like, oh, Lucille, right? Albert King, you think, oh, Lucy, right? It's Flying B. Or Rory Gallagher, yeah, the Strat, the brown Strat, all messed up and all like, with that kind of like beat up look. You will never experience that. What I mean is, like, if you have 10, 20 guitars or whatever more, you will never use even one of them so much that that you will have that familiarity with the wood, with the neck, the profile, the controls, the pickups, the sound, how it responds to you. You will never achieve that. You will never use your guitar in a way like these players or even some just people that you knew back in the day, that the guitar felt like part of or an extension of them. Like you will never experience that. And also there's so much time that you have in this world. Even if you have all the resources in the world, and I have the space, I'm not saying me, but I'm saying somebody else. Let's say you're one of these guys and you say, I have the space or I have the money or whatever. I don't need the money, whatever. Do you have the time to use all of those instruments that much? Because another problem is the diminishing returns. I mean, like there's some redundancy that goes up in the guitars, and we experience that a lot. Like you have a white Les Paul and a black Les Paul, and they have different pickups, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's a two humbucker guitar. I mean, would you put it through a recording session, and you can take the most of the character of it from either. You'll be hard pressed to notice the difference between the both of them. So it's redundant. You have two Strats, and they have different pickups or whatever, different configurations, but you can just buy one Strat and change the pick guards and have different configurations. I wish I would have thought about that. Yeah. So you can have a Strat and have like single humbucker, one pick guard with humbucker, whatever. I'll tell you that if you, because I was thinking about that recently. I wanted to change the pickups and the pick guard of one of my Strats, and then I was thinking about doing for EMGs that Steve Lukather said. I always wanted that one, but you have to change the jack too, because the jack is different in the active pickups. So So another thing is the financial depreciation of this. Unless you're buying vintage instruments that they tend to go high in prices and whatever, you'll be holding off on something that might depreciate, that might deteriorate, and then, I mean, selling guitars is hard. It's not that easy. You put them in the marketplace, and even if you say, oh, I'm just selling, there's always going to be a guy that's going to ask you, trade? And you're like, it's clear, it's in the first sentence of it. It says no trades. It says final price, and everybody will be looking for a deal. I mean, we call it dreamers sometimes. The guys that offer you half of the money that you're asking, provided that you're asking a fair price to them. And, it's kind of hard. And if you want to sell your guitars online, there's shipping costs and all that, all the logistics that go with that. It's a big instrument. Tariffs, I don't know how the tariffs affect that, but the shipping costs are going up. I live in an island, so I gotta ship everything overseas most of the time if I want to sell something. So it's getting harder and harder to do. Also, there's the issue of neglect. So you, again, even if you have all the money in the world and all the resources and the space, you're gonna have what we call closet queens, which is or closet queens, which are guitars that never get used. They've been there for years and years and years, and when you think about them, you don't even remember that you had them, some of them, or and you don't want to say that's true. You don't want to, you don't want to say, oh yeah, I forgot that. No, but and once you remember that, you're like, oh no, I can't sell that guitar. That guitar is great. I remember the one time I played it, it sounded amazing, but you haven't used that thing at least in like 6 or 7 months, you know. So it's a closet queen, you know. So again, you can have all resources in the world, but the one resource you can't buy with all the money, it's time, and you don't have all the time in the world. So therefore, there are things that you're not gonna use, that you just have them there because. And there's other stuff like insurance and these other things. Like again, I live in an island. Sometimes we get storms. Sometimes not all the time, hurricanes, all that type of stuff, and that humidity, that water, all of that changes. That damages the instruments if you have multiples. You know, don't know what to do with them. So it's not a good idea. I will say, even if you're like a working musician, excuse me, even if you're a working musician and you don't think of them as a collection, you're thinking of them more of a tool. How many of them do you need? You're only gonna play an electric guitar at a time. Maybe you need an acoustic. Um, Maybe an nylon string if that's your thing. I gotta have a nylon string. So it's a car coming. So I think even if you're a working musician, I think a fair number, or I would say healthy number, it's like five guitars. That's the only thing you should have. No more than that. I mean, if you want to have that healthy number, I'm not saying I have more than five. I'm just talking here. But you can have something like a bolt-on guitar, which Strat, something similar to a Strat or a Tele. I mean, they're very different, but you can do with either one of them. I'll say a Strat. The Strat, you can change the pick guards, so there you can have different configurations. You probably should have a double humbucker guitar, kind of like a 335 or a Les Paul style guitar. I'm not saying the brand, I'm just saying the style, right? I know people use Harley Bentons and Epiphones and whatever. Um, you should have maybe an acoustic guitar like this, even if you're not like a big acoustic guitar player, just to have around and kind of like, play around with it and practice a little lick here and there without having to connect an amp. And I don't know how many is that? That nylon string guitar, if you're into that. So that's 2 acoustics, 2 electrics, and maybe 1 guitar that's like a jazz master, kind of like quirky or just something different. Just when you have those times that you want to sound kind of like indie or experimental, or if you're kind of like someone like a shredder or someone like that's very into like speed or technique, So you probably want to have something similar to an Ibanez, like a shred guitar or Jackson. So that can be like your different guitar with like a Floyd Rose or something. And I think that's a healthy number. There's no need for that many guitars. That's what you can say, hey, these are my tools. The rest is just, I call them big boy toys. It's like, hey, you know what? I had some disposable income and I bought this. Yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, that's my take on it. Obviously, I'm not following my own advice. I'm just talking out of experience, and it's not that easy to get, to start selling your gear and or selling them and trade them, or get your value back. Music is an amazing thing. Playing guitar is great. I obviously love it. But yeah, so we gotta put some limitations sometimes on ourselves. And I will come up with a similar video, but the next one will be why having many guitars is a cool thing. So the opposite thing. So, and if you find yourself bored or are interested in seeing the guitar in a elevated place, there are some movies that are great for this, and I compiled them in a video. I'm gonna put it either here or here. I don't remember where it is, but yeah, I'm gonna put it in the video. You can click on the link and watch. Uh, Thank you. If you find value on this type of content, please leave a like, subscribe. If you even though I'm talking about not buying more gear, if you find any value on this and you want to support the channel and you were thinking about buying some gear or anything, strings or anything you needed for guitar, I'm gonna leave some links and some tag products that you can buy. It doesn't cost you anything more than it was gonna cost you, but it helps the channel. And if you didn't like the video, you don't like this blog style or whatever, but you're still here, I appreciate you being here. That's it for today, and thank you. Have a good one.